आरती गाएंगे फिर। रेडी हो? प्रभु पहले मंगल आरती गा लीजिए पूरा, मणिपुर आरती गा लीजिए।
संसार धावा नललिदलोक त्राणाय कारुण्य घन घनात्वं प्रापस्य कल्याण गुरुनानवस्या वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दं महाप्रभु कीर्तन नित्य गीता वादित्रमाध्यान् मनसोरसेना रोमाञ्चकं पाशुतरङ्गभाजो वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दं श्रीविग्रहाराधन नित्यनाना शृङ्गारतन्मन्दिरमर्जनादो युक्तस्य भक्तां च नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दं चतुर्विधा श्री भगवत्प्रसाद स्वादन्यतृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्गां कृत्वैव तृप्तिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम् श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपारा माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनाम्नां प्रतिक्षणास्वादनलोलुपस्या वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दं निकुञ्जयोनो रतिकेलिसिद्ध्यै यायालिभिर्योक्तिरपेक्षणीया तत्रातिदाक्ष्यात् अतिवल्लभस्या वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दं साक्षाद्धरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रैरुक्तस्तथा भाव्यत एव साध्भिः किन्तु प्रभोर्यः प्रिया एव तस्या वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दं यस्या प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्या प्रसादान् नगति कुतोऽपि ध्यायं स्तुवं तस्य यशस्त्रिसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दं ध्यायं स्तुवं तस्य यशस्त्रिसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दं 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 नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्या प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रह्लादायिने हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः शिलटङ्कानखालाये इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा बहिर्नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे तव करकमलवरे नखाम् अद्भुतशृङ्गां दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गां केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश हरे। जय नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव। जय प्रह्लाद महाराज जय प्रह्लाद महाराज। प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद। नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः राधा कृष्णा सेवा पाओ ये अभिलाषी ये तुम्हार शरण लोय तार वांछ पूर्ण होय कृपा करी करो तारे वृंदावन वासी मोराई अभिलाष विलास कुंजे दियो वास नयने हेरी बो सदा युगल रूप राशि निवेदना धरा सखीरनुगत कार सेवाधिकार दिए करो निज दासी दीन कृष्ण दासी को ये न मोरा होय श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेम सदा ये न भासी श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेम सदा ये न भासी यानी कानी च पापानि ब्रह्मत्यादि कानी च तानि तानि प्रणक्ष्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मत्यादि कानि च तानि तानि प्रणक्ष्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मत्यादि कानि च तानि तानि प्रणक्ष्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Are you ready now?
While reading this from ISKCON Desire 3 article. It is on Akshaya Tritiya. Chandan Yatra starts on this day, which is celebrated as well as the day on which Treta Yuga began. Barley, one of the main ingredients for Homa, which is the Yuga Dharma of Treta Yuga, was also created on this day. Ganga Devi also descended to the earth on this day. Many common people have a special puja on this day. One should bathe in a sacred river, give charity, perform japa, and offer barley in a sacred fire, and offer barley preparations to the deity. Akshaya Tritiya day is very auspicious. It's a very auspicious day. There is no inauspiciousness to be found today, so even checking murtas is considered unnecessary. So auspicious it is. Whatever one does for devotees and for Krishna, that person will get more benefit, and it is eternal benefit and never lost. He said one story of a Brahmana. There was a Brahmana who had a very good wife and was poor. Whatever little money he got would get spent somehow. Also he did not have children. So under the strong request of his wife, he went to Vasishtha Muni to know the reason for his suffering. Vasishtha Muni told him that in his previous life he was very rich and also had many children. But he was very stingy. He was not even spending for his own children. This is the reason for his being poor, also without children. So then that Brahmana asked Vasishtha Muni why he got a good wife. So the Muni replied that somehow with some reason he observed that the vrata of Vaishakha month for the last 5 days. So he got a good wife and also the Brahmana birth. Then the Muni advised him to follow at least these last 7 days left of Vaishakha month with devotion to Lord Kṛṣṇa. Since that Brahmana observed the vrata of Vaishakha month, for that at least the left out 7 days he got sons. He became rich. Ultimately, he got love of Godhead and went back to the spiritual world. It is important to hear such a story, pastimes as this, so that at least by hearing this, we engage ourselves in the service of Guru, the Vaishnavas and Krishna. Thus becoming inspired to always render service to the devotees is always the beneficiary of such interaction with the Vaishnavas, one's Guru and Lord Sri Krishna. Akshaya Tritiya from the calendar of the Madhava Vaishnavas. The third day in the bright fortnight of Vaishakha is the day of the incarnation of Lord Vishnu as Parshurama. The icon is decorated with an axe to depict him in a heroic pose. This coincides with the anniversary of passing of Sri Vijayadhvaja Tirtha, the sixth P. Thadipati in the lineage of Sri Pejawar Mutt. He is famous for his commentary upon the Srimad Bhagavata epic. He lived in the 15th century and his Vrindavana Samadhi within brackets is in Kanva Tirtha. So there is also a peepal tree by the side of the Vrindavana, under which he is believed to have written his commentary. During the tenure of Sri Pejavar Matha, a special festival is arranged in Sri Krishna Math on this day, and the Akshay Patra given by Sri Madhava is offered a special puja. This Akshay Patra is said to have been given by the sun god. It is the same pot that Mother Draupadi used to cook in. It is said that from the time of turning it upward for the use on the day, the pot will provide unlimited amounts of foodstuff for the satisfaction of the Lord. There is a story in this connection wherein the angry sage Durvasa came to Draupadi demanding foods. On the Pandavas' return to Hastinapur, they resided in the palace created for them by the demon Maya Dhanava. Mayasura built this palace out of gratitude to Krishna for saving him in the forest fire in the Khandava forest, where he was hiding when Agni devoured it. He also presented Bhima with a magnificent fighting club. After the Rajasuya sacrifice was performed, Duryodhana, being always envious of the Pandavas, came to the mansion created by Maya Dhanava's illusion. Bewildered by illusion of many kinds, Duryodhana mistook the solid floor of water and lifted the end of his garments to walk forward on what he thought was shallow water, but it was solid floor. And after a few more steps, he fell into waist-deep water, mistaking it for a solid floor. Proud Duryodhana, who was wearing his crown and a costly necklace, was very angry. But when he fell into the water, everyone laughed, especially Draupadi and Bhima. Yudhishthira tried to check the laughing of all the women in the palace by raising his hands and his glances. Lord Krishna, however, encouraged it by the suggestive gestures of his eyebrows. Humiliated and swearing revenge, Duryodhana turned his face downwards and went back to Hastinapur. The Kurus then made a conspiracy to trick Yudhishthira into a gambling match by which the Kauravas Kurus could cheat the Pandavas out of everything with the dice made from Sakuni's bones. During the match, Yudhishthira lost his kingdom, wealth, jewelry, clothing, and finally even gambled and lost his wife. When Dusasana went to fetch the chaste Draupadi, she said she couldn't come to the assembly as she was undergoing her monthly period and was only dressed in one piece of cloth, a simple sari. Draupadi had a beautiful bunch of hair which was sanctified at the ceremonial Rajasuya Yajna, but Dusasana defiled that sacred lady and grabbed her by her hair just to insult her. When he started to pull off her sari just to make her naked, Draupadi, realizing that she had no hope to help from her husband, as they too had been lost by Yudhishthira. By Yudhishthira being tricked into upholding mundane, moralistic codes and how had no free will to act. Within brackets though, Bhima was transcendently situated from such sentimental codes. His brothers tried to make him restrained to follow Yudhishthira's mood and etiquette. Draupadi then sent person completely surrendered to Krishna, and to the amazement of the assembly, as much sari as Dusasana took from her body, as much again replaced it. Lord Krishna, though protecting his surrendered devotee, decided that for their sinful behavior the Kurus would be inevitably killed at the battle of Kurukshetra, and all of their wives would too loosen their hairs in public, but this time as widows. When the Pandavas were exiled to the forest for 12 years after a second gambling match, the Kurus made a clause that after the completion of 12 years, the Pandavas had then to spend 1 year incognito, thus making 13 years all total. If during the final year the Pandavas' whereabouts were discovered, they again had to spend another 12 years in the forest. Because the Pandavas were concerned how to feed the Brahmanas who accompanied them to the forest. Srimati Draupadi Devi was given a pot by the sun god called by Akshay Patra. So this pot would never be empty until Draupadi had taken her meal and turned the pot upside down. Then it would produce no more for that day. Once Draupadi had finished cooking and had just taken her meal when the Muni Durvasa arrived with many of his disciples. The angry sage Durvasa and his disciples had secretly been asked to go there by the Kauravas, who knew that by this time Draupadi would have taken her meal, and as she was unable to offer them anything to eat, she would incur the wrath of Durvasa. Durvasa and his disciples went to the river to bathe and freshen up before taking their meal. Draupadi, full of anxiety, prayed to Lord Krishna to help her. Lord Sri Krishna then told Draupadi that if there was a morsel of food left, he would be satisfied if that were offered by Draupadi, his pure devotee, with love to him. Seeing a fragrance of spinach stuck to the side of the pot, Krishna asked for it. Draupadi offered it to Krishna, and simply by eating that morsel of foodstuff, all of Durvasa's men and Durvasa himself became fully satisfied, and out of embarrassment slipped away and didn't come to demand a meal from Draupadi, as the sinful Duryodhana had arranged for them to do. Now, Akshaya Tritiya lecture by Gopāl Swami Maharaj, 3rd May 2022. Yes, Maharaj? Yeah, this is Akshaya Tritiya lecture given by Akshaya Tritiya lecture given by Gopāl Swami Maharaj.
Right.
It's on 3rd May 2022. So the day known as Akshaya Tritiya occurs on the 3rd Tritiya day of the waxing moon in the month of Vaishakha. Every second of this blessed day is completely auspicious, and so there is no consideration of any one period Murta being better than another. Akshay means inexhaustible. Anything a person undertakes on the day of Akshaya Tritiya is bound to succeed, especially the performance of devotional activities which guarantee inexhaustible benefit. It is said that Akshaya Tritiya is the day when Treta Yuga began and the river Ganges descended to earth. Also, the festival known as Chandan Yatra starts on the Akshaya Tritiya. In the Madhva Sampradaya, Akshaya Tritiya is celebrated as the day of the incarnation of Lord Vishnu as Parshurama. In the Sri Krishna Mutt monastery, a special festival takes place during which the Akshaya Patra, the marvelous pot gifted by the sun god to Draupadi, is worshipped. Srimati Draupadi was given the benediction that her pot would provide unlimited food to each meal until she herself ate from it. It appears that the pot came under the custody of Sri Madhvacharya, and on Akshaya Tritiya it is worshipped and prasad is lavishly distributed throughout the day. In Nandagram, where Sri Krishna enjoyed his childhood pastimes with Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, an interesting incident took place on Akshaya Tritiya. When Nanda Maharaj established his residence in Nandagrama, he excavated a large lake, then known as Nanda Sarovara. Nanda Maharaj, his family members, and all the Vrajavasis used to bathe in that lake. And it is said that while Nanda Maharaj and his family bathed at one end of the lake, Vrishabhanu Maharaj would occasionally come and bathe with his family at the other end. According to local tradition, Srimati Radharani and Krishna used to swim underwater to the middle of the lake and engage in pastimes. One day, little Krishna noticed that instead of cooking the usual meal of rice, dal, sabzi and chapatis, Mother Yashoda was making all kinds of fried preparations with dal, noodles and flour. When Krishna asked her why she was cooking those things, she replied that Nanda Maharaj was going on a pilgrimage the next day and that the fried things she was cooking would last for several days without spoiling. Krishna then asked where his father was going, and Mother Yashoda replied that he was going to Prayaga. Little Krishna went to Nanda Maharaj and asked him where Prayaga was and why he was going there. Nanda Maharaj explained that Prayaga is the most sacred place where the three rivers Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati meet and flow together. and that to take bath there was most auspicious. The next morning was the Akshaya Tritiya, the perfect day to start on a long journey. As usual, Nand Maharaj got up early and went to take bath in his lake. When he got there, he saw a man he had never seen before, an imposing, regal person, rolling in the dust. While rolling in the dust, the man laughed loudly. Every now and then, he would get up and dive into Nanda Sarovar, and then again he would come out and roll in the dust and laugh, and again bathe in the lake. Nand Maharaj approached the kingly man and asked, Maharaj, who are you? Baba, I am Prayag. The man replied, Prayag, I don't know anyone in Nandagrama with that name. No, I am not from here. I am Prayagraj, the king of all holy places, Tirthas. And why have you come here today, Maharaj? Baba, all year long, people come and bathe in my waters and leave their sins. So every year on Akshaya Tritiya, I come here, roll in the dust of Vraja and bathe in this Sarovar, because this dust and this lake have the potency to purify one from all sins. Nanda Maharaj was amazed. Suddenly he noticed that on the other side of the lake were many beautiful ladies in silk saris embroidered with gold and silver threads. They were all bathing in the lake. Approaching them respectfully, Nanda Maharaj asked who they were. One lady replied, Baba, I am Ganga. Another, I am Saraswati. And yet another said, I am Godavari. They all responded with the names of different holy rivers: Kuru, Jangala, Kaveri, Narmada, Brahmaputra, Mahananda, etc. Then Nand Maharaj asked, and why have you come here today? I have never seen you before. The ladies explained that all year long, people put their sins within their waters, and that every year on the Akshaya Tritiya day, they come to Vraja to roll in this dust, bathe in the Sarovara and become purified, Pavana. After taking his bath, Nand Maharaj went back up to the hill to his residence. By that time, little Kṛṣṇa was awake. Coming before his father, he asked, Baba, are you going now? No, Lala, I am not going. Why, Baba? Because today all the places I wanted to go came to take bath in our lake and become purified, Pavana. So why should I take the trouble to go to them when they all came here? From that day, Nanda Sarovar became known as Pavana Sarovara. Now on Akshaya Tritiya day, message from His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. Krishna says that all months, Kartik is the best, but some of the Puranas say that better than Kartik is Magha, and better than Magha is Vaishakha. In any case, Vaishakha is a special month to do some services like charity, japa, bathing and rising early and worshipping the Lord. It is especially a blessed month for doing charity and in general to increase one's devotional service. Of course, if someone is already chanting 16 rounds and attending Mangala Aarti every day and is generally fully engaged in devotional service, then they get all benefits of all the months every month. But if someone is not fully vegetarian or not chanting all 16 rounds, then this is a good month to chant some extra rounds or give some extra charity or do something extra. For example, they can commit to attend Mangala Aarti for a certain period this month. Of course, already more than a week of Vaishakha month has passed, but we can still take advantage of this month even if we observe 1, 2 or 3 days. Whatever we can do would be beneficial. If we can observe for 2 weeks, that would be really great. Please see how you can increase your devotional service during this Vaishakha month, especially holy hour days like Narasimha Chaturdasi, 20th, or the Purnima. Immediately after it, then there is the 3rd day of the rising moon, which is known as Akshaya Tritiya or the indestructible Tithi. Akshaya Tritiya is the beginning day or the anniversary of Treta Yuga. And it is said that any devotional service or charity you do on that day will last forever. So please take all the mercy that is available on that day. If you are not already getting the full mercy, then this is an opportunity to try to increase your devotional service and get some extra mercy. While some things give you 100 plus times the benefit, some things give you much more or even millions of times the benefit. Your well-wisher always, 𝐽𝐸𝐴 Goswāmī.
Read this again. जपता महाराज का लेक्चर फिर से पढ़िए.
Okay.
What is the time?
Krishna says that all months Kartik is the best, but some of the Puranas say that better than Kartik is Magh and better than Magh is Vaishakha. In any case, Vaishakha is a special month to do some service like charity, japa, bathing, and rising early and worshipping the Lord. It is especially a blessed month for doing charity and in general to increase one's devotional service. Of course, if someone is already chanting 16 rounds and attending Mangala Aarti every day and is generally fully engaged in devotional service, then they get all benefits of all the months every month. But if someone is not fully vegetarian or not chanting all 16 rounds, then this is a good month to chant some extra rounds or give some extra charity or do something extra. For example, they can commit to attend Mangala Aarti for a certain period this month. Of course, already more than a week of Vaishakha month has passed, but we can still take advantage of this month even if we observe 1, 2 or 3 days. Whatever we can do would be beneficial. If we can observe for 2 weeks, that would be really great. Please see how you can increase your devotional service during this Vaishakha month, especially holy hour days like Narasimha Chaturdasi, the Purnima, immediately after it. Then there is the third day of the rising moon, which is known as Akshaya Tritiya or the indestructible Tithi. Akshaya Tritiya is the beginning day or the anniversary of Treta Yuga, and it is said that any devotional service or charity you do on that day will last forever. So please take all the mercy that is available on that day. If you are not already getting the full mercy, then this is an opportunity to try to increase your devotional service and get some extra mercy. While some things give you 100 plus times the benefit, some things give you much more or even millions of times the benefit. Your well-wisher always, 𝐽𝐸𝐴 Goswāmī.
Any more?
So now there is a. We are reading from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. There is some mention of Akshaya Tritiya in Chaitanya Bhagavat. So we're going to read from that. Now text 101. Mahaprabhu led them for Arahunala to the bank of Narendra Sarovar in 10 dandas, about 4 hours. At that time, Balram, Krishna and Govinda, the Vijaya Vigraha, arrived at Narendra Sarovar for performing water sports. In the Skanda Purana, it is stated, "Smear fragrant sandalwood paste on my body on the day of Akshaya Tritiya, during the waxing moon in the month of Vaishakha." Shri Purushottama Deva ordered his servant, the exalted Vaishnava, Shri Indriyadumna Deva, to smear fragrant sandalwood paste on his body on the day of Akshaya Tritiya, during the waxing moon in the month of Vaishakha. Following this, even today, Lord Jagannath's Vijaya Vigraha, Sri Madan Mohana, is brought on the palanquin from the temple to Sri Narendra Sarovara every day from Akshaya Tritiya in Vaishakha up to the 8th day of the waxing moon. Sri Madan Mohana Deva enjoys these both pastimes in the lake along with his ministers headed by Loknath and Mahadev. Since the Chandan Yatra festival of Sri Madan Mohana is held in Sri Narendra Sarovara, the lake is also called Chandana Pupura. The phrase Shri Yatra refers to Chandan Yatra. So there was a tumultuous vibration of the chanting of the Lord's holy names, mixed with the sounds of mridangas, conch shell, kettle drums, and other large drums. The scene was beautified with thousands of umbrellas, flags, and chamaras on all sides. No sound could be heard other than the loud chanting of Jaya Jaya and Hari Hari. In this way, Balram, Krishna, and Govinda, the Vijaya Vigraha, were brought to the bank of Narendra Sarovara with great pomp. The word Narendra refers to Sri Narendra Sarovara. The associates of the Lord Jagannath and the associates of Lord Chaitanya mixed together, and everyone forgot themselves in the ecstasy of Sankirtana. Such happiness was experienced when the two groups joined together that it seemed as if the happiness of Vaikuntha had appeared in person. Lord Chaitanya personally enjoyed endless happiness and distributed that happiness to everyone in the four directions. Balram, Krishna, and Govinda were then placed in a boat, while devotees on all sides fanned them with chamaras. Lord Gauranga felt satisfied on seeing the boat festival of Balram, Krishna, and Govinda. Then Lord and his devotees all joyfully jumped into the waters of Narendra Sarovara. O brothers, now hear the pastime performed by Sri Krishna Chaitanya in the waters of Narendra Sarovara. Previously, the Lord and his cowherd boyfriends formed circles and enjoyed water sports in the Yamuna. In the same way, the Lord and his devotees now form circles in the water by holding each other's hands. They began their water sports with one well-known Bengali water sports named Kaya. So, the Vaishnavas called out Kaya Kaya. They clapped their hands in the water and produced musical sounds by hitting the water in a certain way. The devotees became absorbed in the mood of the cowherd boys of Gokula, and the Lord accepted the mood of Krishna and the Lord of Gokula. Overwhelmed in ecstasy, the devotees forgot everything and fearlessly splashed water on the Lord. Lord Chaitanya and Advaitacharya began by splashing water in great sport on each other. While forcefully splashing water in the eyes of each other, sometimes Advaita would be defeated and the next moment the Lord would be defeated. The word Nirghata means forcefully and vigorously. Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhara, and Puri Goswami all began water fights with one another, yet none of them were defeated. Mukunda Datta and Murari Gupta had repeated water fights in which they shouted loudly in ecstasy. The two friends, Purnik Vidyanidhi and Sarup Damodara, smiled as they splashed water on each other in ecstasy. Then the Srivas, Shriram, Haridas, Vakreshwara, Jagadisha, Gopinath, and the Chandrasekhara all became overwhelmed in the ecstasy of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes as they splashed water on one another. Hundreds of thousands of people in the water took great pleasure as Balram, Krishna, and Govinda, the Vijaya Vigraha, rode in a boat. Sannyasis, brahmacharis, and the householders all sported in the water of Narendra Sarovara, and floated in waves of bliss. The word Vinaya refers to materially attached person in the Grihastha ashrama. The influence of Lord Chaitanya is such that less fortunate person could neither see nor enter that place. Those who are less fortunate cannot be counted among the associates of Lord Chaitanya, who is controlled only by devotion. One is not qualified to be included among the associates of Sri Chaitanya simply on the strength of ordinary piety or advanced moral life. Accomplishments in extraneous desires, foolish activities, speculative knowledge, and mystic perfection are examples of insignificant piety. Pure devotional service alone is able to diminish the reactions of such activities, and only then is one able to attain the mercy of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Deva. In his commentary on the Vedanta Sutra 3.3.50, Sri Madhvacharya has quoted the Maharaja Shruti as follows: Only devotional service can lead one to the personality of Godhead. Only devotional service can help a devotee meet the Supreme Lord face to face. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is attracted by devotional service, and as such, the ultimate supremacy of Vedic knowledge rests in knowing the science of devotional service. Lord Vishnu dwells in devotional service. The Supreme Lord Vishnu is controlled only by devotional service. Only through devotional service one can attain his darshana, and only through devotional service does he avoid one's liberation. Knowledge and austerity have no value without devotional service. They bring only misery. Proficiency in knowledge and austerities that are opposed to the service of the Supreme Lord certainly result in distress. Only a person who has devotion to the Supreme Lord is qualified in real knowledge and austerity. Even though one engages with great endeavor in the mystic yoga system, philosophical speculation, charity, vows, penances, ritualistic sacrifices, teaching of Vedic mantras to others, personal study of the Vedas, or the renounced order of life, still one cannot achieve me. My dear Uddhava, from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.14.20-21, my dear Uddhava, the unalloyed devotional service rendered to me by my devotees bring me under their control. I cannot be thus controlled by those engaged in mystic yoga, Sankhya philosophy, pious work, Vedic study, austerity or renunciation. Only by practicing unalloyed devotional service with full faith in me can one obtain me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am naturally dear to my devotees who take me as the only goal of their loving service. By engaging in such pure devotional service, even dog eaters can purify themselves from the contamination of their low birth. Chaitanya Bhagavat Ante Khanda 8.132. One can. Yes.
सत्य के बारे में कुछ नहीं है इसमें.
अक्षय तृतीया के बारे में. No Maharaj, this is Akshay Tritiya is now, it's over. Now we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam.
वो प्रिंट आउट है ना, वो पढ़िए.
Print out. Significance of Akshay Tritiya. Lord Parshurama appeared on this day. Second, river Ganges descended to earth on this day. Third, this day marks the beginning of Treta Yuga. Fourth, Sudama visited Kṛṣṇa at Dwarka. Fifth, the Pandavas received Akshat Patra from the sun god. Sixth, Vyasadeva started composing Mahabharata on this day. Seventh, Adi Shankaracharya composed Kanakadhara Stotram on this day. Eighth, Kubera received his wealth and position as custodian of wealth. Ninth, Goddess Annapurna Devi appeared on this day. 10th, every year the Rath Yatra festival is celebrated at Jagannath Puri. The three chariots of Jagannath, Nandi Ghosha, Jagannatha's Nandi Ghosha, Baladeva's Taladhvaja, and Subhadra Darpadalana are newly built every year with the wood of specific trees. The construction of the chariots for Rath Yatra begins on the day of Akshay Tritiya. 11th, Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Before starting ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada incorporated a society in India called the League of Devotees at Jhansi on the auspicious day of Akshay Tritiya, 16th May in the year 1953. Auspiciousness. Akshay Tritiya day is the very auspicious day. There is no inauspiciousness to be found today. So even checking muhurtas is considered unnecessary. So auspicious it is. Whatever one does for devotees and for Krishna, that person will get more benefit, and it is eternal benefit and never lost. Meaning, Akshay Tritiya means that this does not diminish or perish. Hence, Akshay Tritiya is believed to bring never-ending success and good luck. Every year, Akshaya Tritiya is celebrated on the third day of bright half of lunar month of Vaishakha, month of Hindu calendar. The festival of Akshaya Tritiya, which is said to bestow all auspiciousness on any undertaking being started on this day, is observed all over India to commemorate various pastimes of the Lord. It is on this day that Lord Rishabhdeva broke his one-year fast that he had been observing by drinking sugarcane juice. Also, it is said that when the Pandavas were in exile with Draupadi, after having lost in the unfair gambling match with the wicked Duryodhana, they had an Akshaya Patra, a pot the contents of which were inexhaustible till Draupadi ate. And this was bestowed upon them on this auspicious day. 5,000 years ago, when Srila Vyasadeva, the literary incarnation of Kṛṣṇa, wanted to start writing the fifth Veda, the great epic Mahabharata, he implored Ganesha to be the scribe, upon which Ganesha agreed to do as asked on the fulfillment of one condition. He informed Vyasadeva that he wanted him to speak continuously without stopping, or else he would leave writing. Vyasadeva agreed to this, but in return he too put a condition that Ganesha should not write anything till he understands. So when they reached an agreement, the auspicious day of Akshaya Tritiya was chosen to start writing this great literature. The great devotee and friend of Lord Krishna, Sudama Vipra, who was in Rishi Sandipani Muni's Gurukula with the Lord, visited Dwarkadhish on this day and offered Krishna some chipped rice. As he was a poor Brahmana, but he saturated it with pure love and devotion, and although the offering of his friends was very meager, the Lord disregarded this and only saw the pure feelings with which Sudama had offered him the rice, and being merciful, the Lord bestowed upon his friend all that one could possibly desire for. This pastime depicts how Krishna is actually Bhavagrahi Janardana, meaning that he accepts the bhava or feeling of the devotees without considering whether the offering is opulent or just something simple. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadam bhakti uphartam asnami pritatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit or water, I will accept it. Shyam Sundara is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is full of all opulences, all the riches a person may have in this material world come from him. Then what can one possibly offer him? Everything in this universe belongs to him. The only thing that we can offer at the lotus feet of the Lord are our hearts, and Lord is also very eager for our love and devotion. So following the footsteps of the great devotee Sudama, we can also offer our hearts to the Lord, and he certainly accepts us and bestows upon us loving service to his two divine lotus feet. This day also marks the beginning of Chandan Yatra, in which the Lord is smeared with sandalwood paste due to the scorching heat of the summer season. This Chandan Yatra festival is celebrated over a period of 21 days, in which the devotee makes different arrangements to cool the Lord down and want to give him relief from the intense heat. Although the Lord is self-sufficient and does not require anything, but the devotees, taking Krishna to be their life and soul and most beloved friend, they cannot bear the thought of him having to experience the burning sun of the summer. They always want him to be pleased, and hence they take care of him with so much affection. In Sri Kshetra or Puri Dham, this festival is celebrated for 42 days, in which Utsav Murti of the Jagannath temple, Madan Mohana, along with other deities of the temple, and 5 Shivlingas known as Panch Pandavas, are taken in a procession to Narendra Sarovara, where they are taken for a boat ride. There is a pastime pertaining to this boat festival. In Dwapar Yuga, when Maharaja Virat realized that the Pandavas were living incognito in his place for 1 year in accordance with the condition of the gambling match that the Pandavas lost. He requested Maharaj Yudhishthira that he wanted to have darshan of Lord Krishna, upon which Yudhishthira instructed him to arrange for a nice boat festival for the pleasure of Krishna when he comes, his heart overflowing with joy upon thinking of his good fortune. The king arranged for a beautiful festival, and Lord Krishna along with Balaram blessed him with their divine presence in his kingdom. At that time, the king served them with a splendid boat festival and applied